Wisconsin election rules say election observers removed from polling sites must be told why. During a meeting today, the bipartisan commission confirmed observers who are removed must be given a written order explaining why they're being rejected.
I think that's important that the person has that sheet when they are removed. And the purpose of that is if they have any problems, they can go to their particular Democrat or Republican Party attorney and show that to them.
The commission hopes to finalize an observer brochure by February that will allow poll workers and observers to get to know the rules before the state's Supreme Court election in April.